So for more insight, it's a pleasure to welcome Dr. David Adesnik, Vice President of Research at the Foundation for the Defense of Democracies, joining us from DC. Thank you so much for your time. So much has happened in this first year of Donald Trump's second term. Those, of course, pushing for a focus on America first have not always been happy. What has stood out for you when it comes to the U.S. leader's strategy in the Middle East so far?
Well, I think the coverage here put it well, that he has been much more involved than many people expected, treated it as a priority. If you look, for example, at his national security strategy, it communicates a desire to be less involved, but that hasn't been the case. And if one single action stands out, there's no question it was the decision to bomb Iran and its nuclear program at the end of the 12-day war. American presidents have consistently spoken about being ready to use military means, but it was never clear that they really ever meant to follow through on those words. It was not clear that Trump meant to follow through on those words, and yet he did, which stunned a lot of people.
And of course, now, very recently, he has again threatened to strike the Iranian regime, this time over its crackdown and killing of protesters. How do you see this unfolding?
Well, I think there's the element of unpredictability with Trump that we see in many different crises, that, he really used very strong language saying, America's locked and loaded. If Iran kills protesters in serious numbers, there will be punishment. And it's clear thousands and thousands were slaughtered. And then the answer from Trump apparently was the killing has stopped and perhaps we can resolve this via diplomacy. There's any number of theories as to why he seems to have changed his mind in that way, whether it's only a misdirection, that he does intend to do something later and he just wants to turn attention to other areas now, and similarly to what he did in the 12-day war before bombing Iran. So there's a lot of unknowns. I mean, compared to Trump's first term, we absolutely see the same leader who values unpredictability and seems to also have it as his only mode of action.
And of course, looking back at the past 12 months, how would you characterize the relationship between Washington and Jerusalem right now?
Well, I think there's no question that many of the tensions that became increasingly acute in the last year of the Biden administration have gone away. You simply don't see the constant pressure and criticism of Israel's handling of the Gaza war, or concern about certain deprivation or harm to Palestinians. I mean, Trump has conveyed concern at a point. Obviously, his vision of Trump Gaza is about something that would be better, perhaps, for all Palestinians or people of the region. But, that previous point of tension has really gone away.
Dr. Adesnik, stay with us. We've got much more to unpack, talking of which Donald Trump is working to secure a host of world leaders onto the Board of Peace aimed at resolving global conflicts. Governments from around the world have so far reacted cautiously to Trump's invitation to join the initiative, which diplomats say could undermine the United Nations. Now, Israel has received an invitation from the U.S. to join the initiative, but is not immediately clear if it has accepted the invitation. What is clear is that Jerusalem has major concerns about some of the players who could have a role on the executive board when it comes to Gaza, including Turkey and Qatar. Foreign Minister Gideon Saar sharing this message earlier in the day.
I believe that President Trump is the one that's building this Board of Peace. He invited Israel, Prime Minister of Israel, to be a part of it. And he also invited President Putin, Russia, to be a member there.
Still with us, Dr. David Adesnik in D.C. Your thoughts on the composition of President Donald Trump's Board of Peace? It's not clear which countries will be joining, some suggesting it might undermine the United Nations. What is your sense of Trump's strategy here and the role this board could play realistically globally?
Well, the question of what it can do realistically may be very limited, right? We have effectively a divided Gaza now with the yellow line running through it. We don't so much need a Board of Peace on the side controlled by Israeli forces. And on the other side, it's not clear that Hamas would let a board of peace operate in any meaningful way. So part of the question is, what might leverage Hamas to actually participate in a constructive way? Some people might argue that, well, you put their friends on the board, you put Turkey and Qatar on there. I would argue that's a mistake. Those are governments that have indulged Hamas in some of the worst ways. I mean, Turkey, after the October 7th massacre, openly declared itself pro-Hamas. Qatar has been a little more savvy in its public relations, but the fact that Hamas has had a home there for over a decade tells you, which side they're on. And of course, they support and, bankroll Al Jazeera, which is in many ways a de facto Hamas propaganda organ. So it's not clear to me that including those powers is going to be beneficial in any way.
And it certainly is hugely concerning, obviously, for Israel. Many questions remain, no doubt about it, but we appreciate your insights, Dr. David Abdaziz in Washington. Thank you very much for being with us. David Adesnik, always appreciate your insights from DC.
Thank you so much.